this one by the grip, but you can definitely look at it to look at the overall shape. It is this compound structure of almost an octagonal shape, where there are flat faces on the true and false edge, and then it is faceted on either side of those flat faces, and then there is a large face which is then curved, and there is evidence of subtle risers on the front and the back of the grip. It also has this kind of generous swell in the middle, and it's like an incredibly thoughtful design to put into the grip. Same thing once we start talking about the quality lock. There is just as much time and energy being put into designing and creating the grip of the weapon as there is in designing the blade. And often I feel like that gets neglected a little bit when we're using things that limit our interaction with the weapon. So big heavy gloves, or even gloves of any kind, often change the way that we'll interact with that weapon, and I think maybe limits our ability to understand what truly using the originals would have been like.
Yeah.
This is original peening block, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Yep. So super cool in that maybe this was lost early in its life, and that like the peening block is still fairly complete, unless it was like replaced.
Yeah.
But like it wasn't necessarily refurbished, and the grip is absolutely original to the piece.
Yeah. So a peening block, when you construct a European sword, there are two ways to connect the pommel directly to the rest of the sword. So part of the sword blade called the tang goes up through the handle, it goes through the pommel, and either is peened directly onto the pommel, which means, so every medieval sword has a welded tang, right? You want this tang to be soft, and you want this blade to be hard. And the way to do that is to weld a piece of iron into the tang in here, right? There are crummy ways to do that. It's kind of one of the modern things. We think if there's a weld in the tang, it must be bad. But think of totally historical. There needs to be a good weld in the tang at the right place. But so the tang comes through, and then when you peen it, that means you peen it and you hammer it so it gets wider and squeezes the grip and holds it all together. Other ways with a peening block, right, which is this part that sticks off of the pommel. So instead of recessing the peen inside of the sword, like this one, right, the peen is flush with the pommel. On this one, there's an additional block on there that then they peen. And what's really nice about doing that and why they did it is that you can file off the peen and take the sword apart. Because swords require maintenance. They're not just disposable. If you break your blade, you want to take it apart and put a new blade on that hilt. Or even more frequently, if your hilt goes out of style, you want to put a new hilt on your swords because it's your bling. Right? It looks nice. So that's what peening blocks are for. They worked both ways, but they really allow you to take the sword apart.
One other thing to look at on this sword, down here at the base of the blade is an arsenal mark, maybe? There's a series of 2 dots in the middle polars, followed by 2 X's, followed by another pair of dots. And that appears on both sides of the weapon. Very simplistic, but